Yo guys, XIII Games here, and we're back. I'm honestly so happy I'm doing this one this soon because we get to talk about another long development. Also, I just really want to talk about this game. You know, the development for this isn't nearly as long as 15, but it did have some trouble. You can tell it's a huge reason why this game has the problems it does. So, let's get into it then. Now, I won't include all my history, or any at all, for 13, because it's basically the same as 15. Only difference is I love the game that was released, and honestly that hasn't really changed. But wait, that doesn't mean you should leave the video just because I love it. You gotta hear everything, you gotta hear like all the stuff, so please stick around to development stuff and my review.
You overreach yourselves.
No, we overreach you.
Is that so?
You don't believe in anything. You gave up on life before you were even born. Sat poisoning Cocoon from the inside, waiting for someone to come and destroy you. Sure, you think the end of the world is salvation. All you care about is death's release. So take it, and leave the rest of us alone. We don't think like that. When we think there's no hope left, we keep looking until we find some. Maybe Cocoon is past saving, but it's our home, and we'll protect it or die trying! We live to make the impossible possible! That is our focus!
After Final Fantasy X-2 International had shipped, Yoshinori Kitase and the Final Fantasy X team on a morning jog decided that their next project would be Final Fantasy XIII on the PS2, codenamed Color World. The project would be headed by Yoshinori Kitase as producer. Why was Kitase not the director? Well, after Hironobu Sakaguchi had become an executive producer, he had decided that he would choose Kitase to be the producer for Business Division 1 at Square Enix. After this was done, Kitase had chosen Motomu Toriyama to become his replacement as director for the division, which started with Final Fantasy X-2. Isamu Koryu as art director, and character designs by Tetsuya Nomura. Scenario concept was done by Kazuhiko Nojima, as he did with all the Fabula Nova Crystallis games, while Toriyama and Daisuke Watanabe filled out the game's final scenario and script. After all this was decided, the team started by using Final Fantasy X-2 assets as placeholders, as seen here. The basic concept was written, a future world fantasy, and people fighting against their fate. With all this done, the team was on their way to put it into a game. However, something was changing in the gaming landscape, the next generation of consoles. Square Enix, as a whole, was gearing up and trying to anticipate how the next generation of consoles would work. The higher-ups at the company had commissioned the team to make a tech demo for the PlayStation 3, which they would work on for 6 months. This derailed Color World's development. But this wasn't a bad thing. I mean, I guess you can say it is, because it did make them become obsessed with graphics, and it came at the cost of multiple projects, as we know today. That tech demo would be the Final Fantasy VII PS3 real-time tech demo. The overwhelming praise for the tech demo allowed them to get the go-ahead to move Final Fantasy XIII to the PlayStation 3. The things that carried over from Color Worlds were the basic outline for the story, lore, and the idea of a high-action combat system. A year later from the tech demo, we got the announcement of Final Fantasy XIII, officially with its showcasing the Fabula Nova Crystallis 2006 reveal at E3 2006, alongside Type 0 and Versus. It was of course a fake CG trailer, but of course I was gassed. It looked amazing, displaying insane action while also keeping the active time-based command menu. I needed it yesterday, man. Of course, I knew it was a bit off, but how much? I didn't know. Now, it was not that long, 2005 to 2010, for the West, but between that time, stuff was just not going well. Crystal Tools and all its issues I explained in my 15 video, or at least I thought I did. No, there were some quotes from the devs that I wanted to point out. So, as stated by everyone who worked on the PS3, that bitch was difficult to work with. In terms of coding, to get around this, Square Enix made the ultimate proprietary engine, Crystal Tools. Building the engine took a few years. People from the 13 team were the ones who worked on it. The people left on the team had to adapt to the new generation, as making models and assets were completely different from last gen, requiring to rebuild the entire workflow and development pipeline from scratch. That was just one of the issues. Despite making a CG concept of a combat system, they still didn't know exactly what they wanted to do. They did know that they wanted to make something that looked like Advent Children, but getting to that point was brain racking. Another issue was crystal tools. As we know, crystal tools was used for Final Fantasy Versus 13 and 14, caused a giant list of issues. Toriyama, in a post-release interview with the Eurogamer, talked about this. He says, because we were so focused on creating an engine for next-gen hardware that could be utilized across all platforms, we made the mistake of trying to accommodate it for every single project that was in progress at the time. This created a standstill between the engine and game development teams, because if the engine specs couldn't be finalized, neither could the games. As the debate continued without resolution, the timetable was also affected. The combat wasn't the only thing the team had a unified vision on, most likely because of the sheer amount of people working on the game. 180 artists, 30 programmers, and 36 game designers. The largest number of people on any game Square made at the time. Like, goddamn, if I had over 200 people wanting to get their ideas, I'd be overwhelmed with shit too, dude. How do you get a product out like this? Wizards! Well, actually, it wasn't Wizards. Despite no unified vision, they had gotten pretty far into development, even with the delay. So far, actually, that they didn't even have time for international playtesting. Square wanted to keep what was going on with the game secret, but that wouldn't allow them to get feedback from the West despite knowing the criticism of JRPGs at the time. Too linear, not open enough, not action-based combat. Glad they didn't listen to them, to be honest. Western RPG dudes back in the early 2000s had dookie taste, bro. There weren't that many good ones. And anyway, they couldn't use that information in 13 because they were already on an insane schedule. Getting back to the vision part, it actually wasn't fully realized until Advent Children came out on Blu-ray with a demo for the game. They just did not agree on key elements in the game at all. So Square Enix came down to their office and said, you know what, I'm tired of this shit. Put together a demo and put it on Advent Children's Blu-ray. This caused them to come together to put something on the disc. After the demo was complete, they all realized what they wanted to do, allowing them to finally move forward with completing the game. There were a lot of things that were created due to Crystal Tools being like it is, and the team's ununified vision. A boss, which was later planned for DLC that got cut, Lightning's house was going to be a playable area, Nora's hideout, and a zoo, apparently. There were enough assets made that they could make another game from it. They did. In 2009, after all trial and tribulation, they were finally able to have a real news blowout. Information on the battle system. Almost every week, Famitsu and Jump had a new character, party member or NPC. Summons got shown and how they functioned, info on the game's size, new posters, commercials, and promises of a long, juicy 60-hour RPG. PlayStation themselves even got in on it by having Saz, Hope, and Lightning costumes in PlayStation Home. They also talked a lot about the 360 version around this time, as it was coming out with the international version, not the one with the extra content, you know, like the American, and you know what I mean. Promising it would be the same quality as the PS3 version, even if it had to ship out multiple DVDs. Because of the lack of real news before 2009, Toriyama had to say multiple times that it was indeed launching in the calendar year. That promise was kept. The game launched later that year in Japan to great sale, 1 million in day one, and good reviews. The West got it in 2010, and while it had good sales, and a correction from my last video, had good critical reception from journalists, it was panned by Western gamers and old Final Fantasy fans. So yeah, it had a messy development like all games meant for Crystal Tools, but that did not stop it from turning out to be a game many enjoyed and loved. One of the things loved and criticized by many is the story. Now, the reason it's criticized is because of the data logs. Honestly though, I think that portion is overblown. For the most part, the main story is in the game. No, I'm serious, it really is. Dude, see, okay. Don't believe me? Fine, I'll prove it. If data log entries are needed, I'll talk about them. And they will be. But for the most part, they aren't, and I'm gonna prove it. Our story begins with a narration from a girl about terrible 13 days that happened after she woke up. A train is heading into an underground area. Soldiers are patrolling, people are scared, minus 2 people who are casually talking. A crash causes enough distraction for them to take action. The pink-haired woman kills all the soldiers. We are greeted to this incredible looking green city-like area, and the fight continues. Rockets are shot at ships and monsters. The train is knocked off the track. We see an all-out war. The train our heroes are on gets stopped by a scorpion robot. One of our heroes, a gunslinger named Saz, doesn't want to fight, but our pink-haired leader Lightning sure does. A boss battle commences. The thing is pissed, Our heroes hurry away in some real well-directed action sequences. They beat the Scorpion again, this time taking it down for good. Finally, a time to rest. Our heroes have a conversation and we learn that she was a soldier, but has deserted for some reason. She's not much of the talking type. We are basically put into the shoes of our Chocobo Whisperer. Something called the Purge is happening where people are sent down to Pulse, which is considered hell to the residents. Our heroes make it around the guards and their monsters only to be hindered by the bridge exploding. Of course, that doesn't stop our badass heroes. She tries to take off, but Saz isn't getting left behind. So, she beats the shit out of him for no reason as the floating mechanism breaks. Thankfully, they find another way around and head off. As they continue onward, we learn that the reason Lightning is here is so she can go after the Pulse Fal'cie. Some pretty big shit because it shakes Saz to the core, but it doesn't matter, he has to press on. Switching perspectives to another area of the Purge, we meet a group of people named Nora, and their leader, Snow. He's helping calm down his members and leading the others on to save people being sent to their deaths. Snow lets everybody here know that he's gonna get them out of here. The people themselves don't want to go down without a fight though, so even if it's a bad idea, Snow allows them to join in his war. A mom of this kid named Hope hops in. Her reason? Let's go, baby. One of the banger lines in this game. We got some more coming, dude. I'm so excited. Snow starts handing out guns to people. Some girl next to Hope takes the gun so she can protect him. This girl is Vanille. We hear the narration voice again, learning that it's from her. She introduces Snow for the first time. She describes him as a man who is all talk. The mom looks back at Hope one last time to assure him everything would be okay. As the war goes on, the resistance is hit by a tank. Snow tries to take it down, but fails. He really might be all talk, huh? But Super Mom coming through! Unfortunately, the bridge they're on gets destroyed. People start falling into the abyss, including Snow and Hope's mother. She asks Snow to take her son home as she falls to her death. Hope is in great agony, of course, as he watches his mother fall down into the depths. But Vanille snaps him out of it, and they skedaddle. We move back to Saz and Lightning, and they talk about what's really happening. These people were never going down to the planet Pulse. The government's plan, the Purge, was always to have them killed here. Saz wonders why she's trying to stop it if she's a soldier. She tries to explain the difference between the troops. Psycom and the Guardians are completely different, but he doesn't care. At the end of the day, they're all the same killers. Even if some of them get cold feet, to all soldiers, Fal'cie, minions of the Fal'cie, are just targets, along with the people on the train. He wonders if she thought the same before she left the Guardian. She doesn't answer. We get another gorgeous CG scene where we meet the Pulse Fal'cie. We learn something cool about them in a second. We see Snow is also crying for someone named Sarah. Interesting. We move back to Hope and Vanille. She hugs Hope and shows him a smile to calm him down, even if it's a fake one, because she's afraid. She leaves Hope alone, but what is he supposed to do? He thinks he might as well follow her. Lightning and Saz make their way onward to the Pulse Fal'cie. We get a really good scene out of this, and it seems like her I don't care about anything attitude is just a front. Snow is feeling kinda down, obviously because he just let someone die, but his friend, Godot, gives him the pick-me-up he needs. You gotta go see your lover, man. You can't give up now. Snow ponders on what the mother said, and who he has to take home. But I guess he'll think about that later. You gotta go meet up with the rest of Nora while it plays his banger Comer Kareemer theme song.
You got plenty of time for thinking on the way, hero.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Hope wants to talk to Snow, but he's anxious and overwhelmed about it. Vanille tries to give him a push towards him, but before they can say anything, Snow leaves. They decide the best thing to do is chase after him on their own bike. Hope wants to go after him, but he thinks this is a bad idea because they'll be next to the Fal'cie, which has a chance of turning them into a Fal'cie. But at this point, this really doesn't matter. You gotta go now, man. So he flies off with Vanille. We hear a narration from her about their hands being in the fate of the Fal'cie. Uh-oh. Something bad's gonna happen, guys. After a crash landing, they learn each other's names, and Vanille runs off again to get into a fight. Hope joins in, they defeat the monsters, and they continue on. They get into an argument about Pulse and Fal'cie being bad, awful, and dangerous to society. Hope gets all angsty, but the tension is broken by Snow screaming. Our self-proclaimed hero is continuing his way towards his beloved Sarah. We go back to Lightning and Saz. She tells Saz to get down and covers the ears. As she goes towards the door, talks about regretting something, and asks the door to let her in. They gain access, allowing them to make their way towards their goal. Going back to our duo, Hope Hope and Vanille. Hope is angry at Snow, but still can't come up with the words he wants to say. Vanille decides that they should just leave until he does. So they do. We meet some new monsters called XIII, l'Cie who failed their goal. As they're about to attack Hope and Vanille, Snow shows up, telling them his reason for being here is because his wife, Sarah, is a l'Cie, a monster. Hope is fucking pissed, but he can't get the words out. Saving a monster over his mom who he allowed to fall to her death? Come on, man, just say it. Say it! He's confused, tired, and fed up. He and his mother were thrown into this entire thing by chance. It wasn't meant to happen, but it's too late. Snow tells them that he'll come back for them, but Vanille convinces Hope that they should go with. Lightning finally tells Saz why she's here. To see Sarah, her sister, who's a l'Cie. He tries to comfort her, but getting the words out for something like this is hard. She's a l'Cie, you know? A monster. Of course, she doesn't take it well at all. Telling Saz his prejudice against l'Cie is part of the problem of why she's here in the first place. But for some reason, he doesn't really come off like that. After a pretty good emotional scene, they finally get to their goal, Sarah. Saz attempts to take her out, but Lightning isn't having it. She stops him. Snow shows up and gets into an argument with Light about Sarah and why didn't he protect her. But Sarah wakes up and interrupts them, telling them to save Cocoon. Then she turns into Crystal. This is what happens when a l'Cie completes their focus. She has completed hers. They argue over if she's dead or, as legends say, in eternal sleep. Light decides to punch Snow and goes off on everyone. But before she can say any more words, they're interrupted by the Sanctum army. Everyone's going crazy, people are fighting, but eventually they beat him and everything calms down. Snow decides that he should make his way towards the Fal'cie, asking them to let Sarah go, despite Saz saying that's not a good idea. They make it inside and he starts to ask it to let Sarah go, but gets no response. He starts begging, even saying that he'll turn himself into a l'Cie. Lightning takes her anger out and tries to kill it. Anima, the Fal'cie, yeah, that's right, Final Fantasy summons are the Fal'cie. Let's fucking go, man. It doesn't rock with that idea and starts to attack them. With no way out, Lightning, Snow, and Saz decide to join in. Saz brings up the name Dodge before he starts his attack. A sick boss fight against Anima commences, and after that, they're all put into some space. They're then branded by Anima and given their focus, turning them into l'Cie. We get a flashback titled Day 11. Snow is looking for Sarah among the celebration going on. He is told by Liberu to go to the usual spot. A mysterious woman is focused on during the scene, but we'll get back to her later. He finds Sarah wishing to tell Lightning about her mark. They talk about wishing among the fireworks and Sarah's focus, wondering what will become of her. She's feeling down, obviously, but Snow gives her a necklace and says a really fucking cute cheesy speech before proposing to her. She accepts and they ride around inside the dome on a motorcycle, talking about her relationship with Light and her being a l'Cie. In a beautiful CG cutscene while the promise plays, the main theme of the game. These look so fucking good to this day, especially if you put on the mods like I did for the PC version. And I think they fixed them on Xbox because they looked bad on 360, but yeah. Anyways, play on PS3 or on your Xbox Ones or Series. Just don't play on Xbox 360. We move back to the present. Snow wakes up screaming Sarah's name. Best alarm clock for the rest of the gang as they all get up mad confused. Now awoken in the crystallized lake below the purge area, Lake Brescia, Snow thinks the lake turning to crystal was due to Sarah. That pisses Light off, but before she can pop off on Snow, they get attacked. Surprise though, Snow has magic. Everyone finally realizes that they're l'Cie, pawn of the Fal'cie. Hope can't handle the pressure and blames Snow, Sarah, and Lightning. Vanille calms him down before he can get any worse, and they move on. They discuss their focus and how unclear the Fal'cie makes it. Saz knows this himself, but only because of legends, of course. Only legends. Everyone's wondering what their focus is. They talk about dreams, and it turns out everyone had the same dream. They're told by Anima to... Well, Snow thinks it's to save Cocoon because Sarah said that, so he dashes off to find her. I mean, it's sound logic. She told them, and then she turned to Crystal, so I can't really say he's wrong. On their way down there, things get heated again, but they are interrupted by Psycom, who get destroyed by the party once again. So much for the best of the best, huh? They then introduce themselves to each other. Snow notices despite how Saz talks about fearing the Sanctum, he's still helping. Saz himself, though, doesn't know if this path he chose is right anymore. Kinda sad. They find the Crystal Princess Sarah and try to dig her out. During this, Lightning cuts ties to Sarah, just so she can save herself. Snow, however, thinks that he should stay and goes on a big hero speech about it. He's definitely got an ego and a narcissistic problem, even if his heart's in the right place. It's very irritating to Lightning, and she retaliates. Her anger here makes sense because Snow is really just all talk. He truly believes that he'll be able to save Sarah and Cocoon despite what Lightning is saying, and tries to encourage her to stay there. She definitely wants to stay there, and everyone else can tell that too. But oops, Scorpion's back. This time they defeat him. For real. Everyone moves on but Snow. He wants to save Sarah despite what everyone says. Promises Hope that they'll meet again, and he's left digging Sarah out alone. On their way out, Hope drops some hints that he doesn't just want to give Snow a piece of his mind. Sheesh. They find Psycom elites. While hiding from them, Saz starts talking about how Pulse is treated by the people of Cocoon, while they wait for Psycom to pass. All you have to do is come in contact and you're written off as dead to Cocoon. You need to be purged. Why? Why are people so afraid of Pulse residents in Pulse's sea? What makes them so bad? Well, eating their god isn't here anymore to stop these types of purges, so it will just keep going despite what our heroes think. Hope, however, makes it known that Lassie aren't human, which gets Vanille very angry. His attitude about the situation is just stupid, but you can't really blame the kid. Psycom starts to block off the exit, so they gotta go. Eventually, they end up at one of my favorite locations in the game, Brescia Temple. Love the crystal flames caused by Anima's freezing of the lake. After fighting through more Sanctum forces, they eventually run into Garuda. After a grueling battle against the creature, they find a Psycom ship. Hopefully it's got an engine because it's their ticket out of here, baby. Meanwhile, Snow is busy still picking up Sarah, but is interrupted by the oppressors. He continues to dig and ask for help, despite them obviously being there to kill him. They interrupt him, so he just spouts a badass one-liner and takes them on. He can't do it alone, there's too many of them, and he almost dies, but his arm starts glowing. Out comes Shiva, his Eidolon. After he fights with her, she accepts him and turns into a bike. He falls down because he's tired from this and gets picked up by a mysterious woman in her Met. They capture Snow and take him to their ship, alongside Sarah. The temple game makes their escape, but not without some trouble. Giant lasers, other ships pursuing, dogfights. Are they gonna make it out? Of course they do. Now they're cruising while listening to the news. A man named Disley is on TV lying about how successful the purge was and talking about some war that happened a long time ago. I'll talk about the war later. Vanille doesn't know who this is, so Saz explains to her. Disley is the leader of the Sanctum and calls all the shots. He talks about having more purges in the future, because that will definitely help everything. More purges will definitely fix everything because then there will be no people around. I get it, Saz. It's very stupid. They decide to lose the pursuers that would fly through Phoenix, the Sanctum Fal'cie. While it does destroy the Sanctum ships, it also hits them, causing them to tumble down into the vile peaks below. They wake up and have to fight an ambush from Psycom again. After this, they decide that they want to take a rest. However, Lightning isn't having that. Saz and Vanille stay behind because they need to take the rest, and Light continues on. Hope follows after her because he thinks it would be the best option. Vanille tries to change Saz's pessimistic mindset about the whole situation, and she kinda does, since he doesn't mind following her even after their near-death experience. Flashback to day 11 of 13, we see Lightning with her lieutenant asking to get off for her birthday. She's turning 21 and also getting a promotion. Let's fucking go, baby. Woo! Let's fucking get it, baby. Baby girl got what she deserved. Let's fucking go, man. Let's go. Woo! He says despite her promotion, he wants her to stay out of Psycom business, but if we know anything about Lightning, we know she doesn't listen to any rules. Back in the present, she and Hope continue on, and that boy is not built like her, so he needs to rest. Despite her grumbling, she allows it and tells him what it was like being in the Guardian Corps. He wonders if she was in the Guardian Corps and didn't have to get purged, why was she on the train? Well, it's for Sarah, of course. We get another flashback and we see people trying to escape getting on the purge train. But if you try to escape the purge, you get gunned down. Holy shit. Like, dude, he just got killed. Lightning gave up her job for her sister so that she can get on the train despite not having to. This is where Saz meets her for the first time, and I really like this encounter. I'm really happy we got this scene as small as it was just because of how good the dialogue was between Saz and Lightning. Tells Hope that sometimes you just do stuff without question, and runs off, leaving him alone. He just can't understand how anyone can do what she does. Saz and Vanille meet up with Hope, who's sulking over losing his mother and not being able to keep up with Lightning. They suggest that they should just get him home to his dad in Palampol, but he doesn't believe he has a home anymore with his mom gone. Another flashback to day 11 with Hope and his mom. We see the vacation that he was talking about. You can see how close they are, but Hope really doesn't like his father for some reason. We go back to the present and he goes on about how Snow tricked his mom and got her killed using her want to get home as a way to trick her into fighting. Saz gives us more hints that he is a father himself, telling Hope a father cares about their son and he'll be happy to see him no matter what. As they continue their way through the vile peaks, Saz sees a warship and gives them insight into this Pulse Cocoon war that happened. They're basically walking in a Pulse graveyard, and Vanille seems kind of upset at the slander that Saz and Hope are giving about Pulse. Oh, but hey, Lightning is back. Still got an attitude, but at least everyone is together. They make their way through the Vile Peak some more and run into a Shinra sweeper. Pulse armament. After the fight, Light gives some advice that could be taken the wrong way, but it'll be fine. She tells Hope that as long as you have a goal, you can stay alive. She then has a crazy idea that they should take on Eden. Saz is not so thrilled about this and considers it basically being suicide. He thinks by her destroying Eden that she can destroy Cocoon and get revenge. But she says, damn the Fal'cie, I don't have to take orders from anybody. But Saz knows what she's really trying to do. She's trying to find a way to die. She denies this and gets mad, saying the next time they meet, they might be enemies, and already considers Snow one. Vanille from the future thinks about how she could have prevented this if she had just paid more attention. Hope loves the idea of having Snow as the enemy and runs off with Lightning, leaving Saz and Vanille alone once again. Damn it, man. Emotions are a troubling thing, aren't they? Hope going with Light is a good opportunity for him to get stronger and show her to Palomporum. Hope grabs onto a pulse armament and rides his way through enemies, making way for him and Light. He starts slowing down and falling behind, which makes Light try to send Hope away by being a hard ass. Her mark starts throbbing and glowing as she tells him off, and Odin bursts out of her chest and aims at Hope, but not herself, unlike what happened with Snow. She fights him and wins. He submits to his master. She apologizes to Hope and promises to train him on the way to town. We get a nice scene between the two. Hope is sleeping, calling for his mom. And while Lightning says she's not by a long shot, she's definitely happy that she can be there for him as a guardian figure. It's one of my favorite scenes in the game because we finally get to see some of her softer side that she hides from everybody else. Saz and Vanille are finally free of soldiers. He's worried that Hope might not be able to make it home because of how much panic Cocoon is in due to the Fal'cie scare. He wonders if the world would be better without Fal'cie, minus them. Would everyone be peaceful that way? They continue their way through the junk heap and take a rest. A really fun scene between the two happens when they're making their beds, but in reality, Vanille is scared. She goes to Saz for comfort, really putting into perspective how much of a child she is. Finally getting back to Snow, we see him getting on the Lindblom with Fang. All these Final Fantasy references, man. God, the CG here is just incredible. Snow meets Sid Raines, who tells him that the Sanctum wants to publicly execute the party and Sarah to keep the people of Cocoon feeling safe. Snow thinks back to Sarah breaking up with him. We see that she's trying to leave him without explanation. She reveals to him that she has become a l'Cie. He breaks down and she runs off, but he can't let her go and chases her down. He's willing to give up everything for her. She doesn't know her focus and she's scared of becoming a Sith. He reassures her that they'll get the focus done and live happily ever after. Vanille narrates again, talking about how goat Kino raw swag cum Sarah is. Light and Hope make it to the Grappa Whitewood. Hope takes the front to prove to Light that he's grown up and ready to do this. Light hasn't really been here before, so they're both going into uncharted territory. It doesn't matter though, Hope is a big kid now. She gives him a knife for protection, and he thanks Light for being there for him. It's a good practice area for him as this place is a bio-experiment nesting ground. Hope notices that regular soldiers don't know they're here. Light thinks that they can use this to their advantage. They start to wonder if the others have made it out okay. Lightning being the cynical one. Of course, she's gonna say that they're probably dead. Hope's focus, though, is on Snow. Light talks about how much she dislikes him, his attitude, and his group Nora. Of course, Hope hates them because he's mature, calling them irresponsible. But there's another reason for it. He finally decides to tell Light why he's so obsessed with Snow. His mom fell down to her death due to his recklessness. He needs to pay for his crimes when Hope is finally ready to kill. And that's why he needs to become stronger. Everything is his fault. Hope wants to use a gunblade too, but bro, you're like 5'3" and a baby. You can't. He gets in his feelings, and while he does, Light has a flashback due to looking at the knife. On day 12, it's her birthday, but she's pissed because 1, Sarah is a l'Cie, apparently, and 2, that she's marrying Snow. The real stinger of this conversation is that she said she'd kill Sarah if she'd have to. Sarah runs off and Snow argues with Lightning. Since Light won't protect her, Snow will. After a bit of silence and Snow leaving, she opens the present Sarah got for her, the knife that she gave Hope. God damn it. The news comes on and she realizes that Sarah was telling the truth. She really has been branded as a l'Cie. Lightning is shocked and feels like an idiot. But it's too late. Back to the present, they find some bodies. Hope wants to help them, but Light tells him he can't have emotions like that. She's one to talk. She pushes him further to only focus on his one goal. Think of nothing else. He starts to make that his mentality. First step, he names his objective Operation Nora. Light finally realizes that this is his mom's name, and that's why he was upset at the gang's name. He himself realizes that in the end, revenge is futile, but it's really all he has. She tries to sway him towards not getting revenge on Snow and having him focus on the Sanctum instead, but he doesn't really sound convinced. Vanille narrates again. This time she talks about Lightning and her being hypocritical because really she has no room to talk. After a boss fight, they escape the White Woods and Palomporum is right there. Hope does not want to see his dad, but Light thinks it's the best way to go. Back to Snow, we get more of his past in a flashback of him and Sarah trying to escape XIII. This has some of the most sci-fi shit they've ever done in CG for Final Fantasy. It's actually fucking insane. They almost escape, but Anima grabs Sarah and tosses Snow away. All they can do is look with regret. Fang snaps him out of it as it's no time to reminisce. They gotta go hunt the others. We go back to Vanille and Saz in Sunlit Waterscape, where they're heading towards, actually, they don't know. Vanille just kind of went this way. Thankfully she did, because it's not in the area that XIII is looking. Sadly, Palaporum is. What can they do though? Nothing. They must go onward. Vanille wants to know more about Saz. He tells her he has a son. That's what he was hinting at when he was talking about Hope's dad. His name is Dodge. Back in day 11, we see them being together, and Dodge wishing Saz would go to being a happy dad again, revealing that the Chocobo chick was a present for him, Dodge. A woman is watching them. Interesting. Vanille gets him back by telling him that his son is waiting, and she's gotta watch out for him until they get back together. Saz is clearly stressed the fuck out, so he takes a rest. Vanille talks to the Chocobo as a way to pass time, and tells him that the way to press on is to have dreams so you can push forward. Coincidentally, the place they're heading for is called the City of Dreams. Vanille wakes up with Saz gone. She finds him and he tells her that Dodge is a l'Cie, and that's why he's so stressed out. Going back to day 5, we see that he went on a trip with Chaz to get a Chocobo chick and see a Fal'cie. But when he wasn't looking, Dodge went into the energy plant. The Fal'cie picked Dodge to protect it when it was attacked by Pulse l'Cie. Chaz is worried because he couldn't be with Dodge. Dodge was taken away by the woman, and it turns out Dodge was the one that could sense the Pulse Fal'cie and told the government that it was in Bodum. He wanted to save Dodge, so he went to find Anima to see if it was involved. That's why he got on the train. He can't determine which was his focus, so if it was to kill the Fal'cie and it's l'Cie, he and everyone else must die or Dodge will become a Seath. He starts contemplating suicide, but the Chocobo says, "Cool it, bro." So he puts the thoughts away and carries on. A hop, skip, and a jump in there in the City of Dreams, but they have to take the train. While they wait, it's storming. During this time, Saz tells Vanille that he hates Pulse, but it only happened recently. He never believed in the propaganda, but that all changed because of what happened to Dodge. She says don't blame Dodge for the situation, and he said he doesn't. He blames Pulse instead. This gets Vanille upset, and she tries to hide her tears in the rain. Poor girl. XIII leader Roche is gearing up his men for the Palaporum raid to get rid of the l'Cie. All in the name of the people, he says. While the raid is underway, Hope and Light are aiming towards a train to Eden. With no hesitation in his heart, he suggests to Light that they use some old tunnels that lead to the sewer. Lightning is paranoid. Hope tells her to chillax. They go through making sure no one's following them. They check out the cocoon Fal'cie Carbo, who is the one that provides food for the people. Light suggests that they kill him, but Hope says they already have a mob on them, so let's not make it worse. During this conversation with Hope, she comes to the realization that the Fal'cie really are the owners of Cocoon. They give the people everything. It's like it's really their home and humanity is just allowed to be there, like pets. She and others were basically nurtured by them, and when that was taken away, she lost all purpose. Fighting was just an excuse, and she brought in Hope for her own selfish reasons. She calls off Operation Nora, but for Hope, that's all he has. She tells him she won't abandon him even if he drops it, but he can't accept that, because if there's no goal, there's no goal for l'Cie, which means there's no hope. Light calms him down and explains to him why she became Lightning. To protect Sarah after their parents' death, she changed her name to something that flashes bright and only destroys. No thoughts, no emotion. Realizing the big fucking mistake she made with her sister because of this, and Snow was only one there for her during her time of need. Light has changed her mindset. Fighting with Hope is how she's gonna be shamovin' from now on. She suggests that they go meet Hope's dad, and it might give him the hope that he needs. They don't have the best relationship, but it might be the only thing that can help Hope right now. They leave the elevator and the red carpet is already rolled out for them. Roche orders everyone to shoot. Lightning chooses to distract the guards while Hope runs. Thankfully, that's unneeded. Snow and Fang show up. Snow pops off with Shiva and Light takes advantage of the situation. Everyone starts going crazy and they get rid of Roche's army. Light gives Snow hope and she runs off. Fang follows after her, so now these two are alone fighting the rest of XIII. After that, Snow explains to Hope that Sid Reigns is helping the l'Cie. Snow and Hope have a talk about fighting in wars, and how it's for dumb grown-ups. But the dumb ones are only dumb if they get killed. That gets Hope upset, along with the fact that he's smiling and calling his team Nora to his face while wearing a big grin. How else would he feel, man? Like, for fuck's sake. It's so upsetting to watch. Fang, calls pissed, starts asking for a rendezvous point. But before we get the rendezvous point, we change our perspective to Roche. I thought we got most of his motivation and determination from the data logs, but no, we actually get a scene with him and some of the men from the military. They think using any means necessary tactics will harm the people, but Roche thinks these methods are for the people. The gang decides to meet up at Hope's place. Fang, being all cute and shit, oh my god, a best girl, dude. Light tries to warn Snow about Hope, but he takes the phone and tells her Operation Nora is a go and that he's sorry. Calms are a bitch though and starts fucking up before she can say anything. Fang tells her they can talk at Hope's place and to relax. Kinda hard when what could possibly happen is her fault. She asks Fang to tell her who she is. Fang is from Pulse. Alongside Vanille, they were awakened, and that is what started everything. We go back to Snow and Hope, who continue onwards into the city, currently being purged. Snow has an idea to save the people, bring the army to them. It puts Hope in danger, but why save one person when you can save everybody? Hope's boiling point is probably fucking gone over the limit by now, but Snow walks into the crowd acting like a monster to scatter everyone. The people decide to fight back against the Pulse Lassie scum. Hope is stunned by the amount of people that hate and are shaming him, so Snow has to show off again, putting a wedge between them and the people. Hope, despite everything, gives the girl back her doll and apologizes, showing that he hasn't truly lost his humanity. They escape on a bike riding through the sky. Snow tries to make conversation, telling Hope about him being an orphan, and despite all he's been through in life, wants to start a family with Sarah after all this is over. Hope wants to know how the hell he plans to save everybody. He's still of the belief that Lassie have nothing, no family, no dreams, and especially no hope. The only salvation they have is a quick death. He runs off fast as hell, and Snow is trying to get his attention. He finally catches up with him, and we get to one of my favorite scenes in the franchise. Like, it's super fucking good. Like, it's insanely good. Hope asks Snow, what would he do if his family was taken from him? Snow gives him a nothing answer. He continues his questions and wonders what he would do if he couldn't get them back and he knew who was to blame. Snow is very confused, but they get interrupted by a boss. After that, they continue their conversation, Snow trying his best to understand Hope. Hope has flashes of his mother and starts digging into Snow. What if your actions had dire consequences? Hurting others' lives, getting them killed? What then? How do you apologize? Snow finally drops the facade. He doesn't have anything to say. Words don't mean shit, but he doesn't know what to do other than pushing forward till he gets the answers to his questions. But to Hope, that just means running from what you've done. The only thing that can make up for it is his death. Snow realizes Hope is who Nora was talking about the entire time. He proceeds to accept his death until Hope is in danger and he has to save him. God, I love this part of the game so much, man. Going back to Fang and Light, she tells Light what her and Vanille were doing. Flashback to a conversation, and Vanille is being told by Fang that she'll be turned to a seed if she doesn't complete her focus. But at the cost of Dodge's life, Vanille doesn't care. Fang says they gotta do it or others will get caught up in it no matter what. Just like how Sarah was turned into one. Even if they did decide to stop, they'd be killed by the Sanctum anyway, right? So you gotta go. She sends Vanille off and goes to fight Psycom. Not long after that, she was picked up by Sid. She never stopped looking for Vanille though. She just never found her. She tells Light sorry for having her sister turned into a Lassie. The most non-apology ever. A slap to the jaw didn't make Light feel better though, but it sure made Fang feel something. Snow hasn't picked up the phone yet, but he hasn't been announced as captured, so he should be fine. Light talks about how if it wasn't for Sarah, she probably would be the same as people in the city. Afraid and being led on by the Fal'cie rule, hunting Lassie. Fang was the same. It seemed that the people of Cocoon were just monsters. That's why she became a Lassie. She just can't seem to remember what her focus was. She needs it for Vanille. She'll do anything for her. She tells Light the signs of the Seeth. Lightning is thankfully not close, but Vanille might be far along. Light gets jealous that Fang has a goal and a plan. She thinks she has nothing, but Fang reminds her that Sarah is waiting for her when she wakes up. Just gotta survive, baby. Oh shit, has Snow been found? No, not really, he's good. He's still with Hope. Since Hope is knocked out, he's gotta take him to his house on his back. You get everything you need to know about how he feels from how he looks at this knife. I love this stuff, man. The subtlety in the writing for this game is too good. A man on a mission, carrying this boy as he climbs these walls. He's finally living up to the hero that he calls himself. Hope awakens and wonders why he was saved. Because Light and Nora asked him to. Snow apologizes, saying that he will make things right. He admits to using excuses to run away from his guilt and gives Hope the knife, telling him he'll find a way no matter what to make it better. And if he can't, he'll allow Hope to do whatever. Hope breaks down, but Snow gives him the pick-me-up he needs, and they press on. Well, they try, but Snow's all heroed out at the moment. So, the enemy takes advantage of that, knocking him down. Hope gets pissed, saying he won't let Snow die, holding off the boss all on his own until Light and Fang show up so they can cook him together. After this battle, he calls off Operation Nora. Light and Hope promise to keep each other and Snow safe from now on. They carry their hero together. Vanille starts a narration talking about what it is to have a home. Final Fantasy and their found family tropes, so good. We finally get to his house and he tells his dad that Nora is dead. He breaks down. Of course, who wouldn't? Hope tries to tell him that if they find out he's holding a Lassie, he'll be taken in. But Dad doesn't care. That's his son, Lassie or not. Hope finally gets to the bottom of his dad after worrying for so long that he didn't care about him. Light and Snow get to have a conversation after all this time, and Snow notices Light got her knife back, which really meant the operation is over. Light thinks back to not trusting Sarah and how she covered it up with how she acted this whole time. She apologizes to Snow, and he asks for her name, but no, that'll remain a mystery. Dad asks to see the gang outside, so they head out. Snow apologizes to Mr. Epstein about Nora and tells him about the promise that Nora gave him. He thanks Snow. He really can't believe they're monsters, and even people they've interacted with are seen as monsters too. It's disgusting. Snow promises once again to take down the Sanctum, but Dad snaps him to reality. Doing so would only make things worse. So what are you supposed to do? Well, time to figure that out later as they're being ambushed. Snow takes Dad somewhere else while the other three stay and fight. Snow assures Dad that Hope is in good hands. Before they can take a breather though, more army men show up and surround him. Snow has a plan. He gets Hope out of the way and tries to make conversation. He shows these guys what a LaCie really is. Just a normal person who loves his home. Roche is here though. He gets it, but he just can't dismiss them because of Pulse association. He believes the lives of the many outweigh that of Snow and his friends. So, you gotta die. Snow gets right down to it. The purge is bullshit. But Roche is like, man, we don't want to do it, but we have to in order to keep Cocoon alive. Sid's men start their assault and take out Roche and his men. They tie up Hope's dad, so it looks like he's not involved. Hope promises him that he'll survive and come home. He tells Hope that it's okay. You aren't running and this is your choice. Hope thanks his dad and joins Snow. They take on a Psycom bomber. One goes down, another shows up. No break for us, huh? Actually, it's Sid Boy's ready to take the gang away. He says one final goodbye to his father and they go off. We are back to Saz and Vanille in the City of Dreams. Seems like the LaCie panic hasn't gone to this place yet, which is good because we can indulge in the festives. Ah shit, Vanille sees Fang on TV. People around him think everyone in the city should be killed. Good God. This place really has been twisted beyond repair. Saz changes the subject and takes Vanille to the parade. As you walk by, you can hear people say things like, I thought LaCie were supposed to be huge. I thought they were supposed to be grotesque monsters. Really is just like real life. People hate without even knowing the whole truth. It's disgusting. Vanille plans to leave Saz's side suit, so she tries her best to be happy during this gorgeous sequence. Cocoon Fal'cie versus the Pulse Fal'cie. Ifrit versus Ramu. I really wish they were in the game. They turn into Ragnarok, which causes Vanille to see her focus. Maybe it really is to destroy Cocoon. Saz suggests they go on a date around the park. To relax, let stuff go. This place is special to Saz because he was going to bring Dodge here. He asks Vanille if she has someone special like Dodge. She denies it. They continue into the park and have to chase around chocobo chicks. They have a chat about their friends that are currently being pursued, and he thanks Vanille because thanks to her, he now has more to tell Dodge. He tells Vanille that he's turning himself in so he can see Dodge one last time. He's tired of running. Vanille tries to stop him by telling him to get revenge on the person that did this to Dodge. She's going to tell him who it was, but she gets interrupted by Psycon. They gotta survive or they can't have their conversation, right? They make their way to the park and see Dodge? What the hell? He turns into Crystal? He's completed his focus? According to Jill, that is, the commanding officer that's been watching Dodge. The focus was to capture the Pulse LaCie and provide data on them. She also provides footage of how Dodge would turn into a Cocoon LaCie. It really was trying to protect itself no matter what, huh? Jill twists it and eggs Saz on to go kill Vanille. She runs away and chases after her. She sees a vision of Saz that taunts her and shoots at her, telling her to kill herself. Jeez, this stuff is heavy. The real one shows up saying nothing, looking defeated. She asks him to kill her, but instead, he pops off. Killing you won't just set everything straight. That's not how life works. You gotta figure out everything yourself. But neither of them know the answer. Saz plans to kill himself, but Brynhilde jumps out. Vanille won't let it kill it, so they subjugate it. He points the gun at her, but says shooting kids cannot be excused. Shooting yourself can, and he does. They carry him off. Vanille is being held on the Palamisa and will be judged when they reach the capital. In reality, this is all just a plan to get all the LaCie out. Of course, we're gonna go get them. Everyone is raring to go. Hope gives a nice bonding speech before they go, and they set off in a Psycom cruiser. Easy access. We see Daisley talking with Jill. He's hyped to fuck to kill some LaCie. Regia gets the gang in there and they let loose, sneaking and not sneaking their way into the ship. We move to Vanille and Saz. Turns out he didn't kill himself. Flashbacks shows us that he couldn't, and he hates himself because he has nothing to live for, yet he can't end it. Jill shows up taunting him and saying that she'll erect a monument for Dot, calling him a hero, better than being called a son of a LaCie. He's knocked out before he can go into a rage, and that's how we got here. Vanille and Saz together take blame for everything that's happened so far, but he doesn't care anymore though, because he believes Dodge can wake up just like Vanille did, and he lets all the hate go. He forgives her. Vanille tells Saz about day one, when she and Fang woke up. Fang had forgotten everything, but Vanille lies so that she could escape her fate, not wanting to hurt people again. But she realized you can't outrun your focus. You just can't. Snow tries to threaten his way through, but Come on, dude, you know how this works. Vanille and Saz are being moved, but they take advantage of that and break out. No more running, we take it head on. Saz helps Vanille accept that she actually wants to live, and they continue their way through the ship. Both brimming full of confidence. Jill is pissed. She couldn't handle the LaCie, so they initiate Code White, shutting down all the power to trap the gang in. Obviously, that won't stop them, but maybe this monster will. Psych, we're too good. Oh wait, there's another one. Hold up, Saz and Vanille are here. They take down the second one and have their reunion. I really like this scene a lot. Vanille and Fang grab on a Garuda and everyone hops on. They make their way to the front door and meet Daisley face to face. Now they tease you with a Jill boss fight and snatch it from you. They make up for it with 13-2's DLC, but like, dude, why didn't she just get a boss fight? She has nothing to her already, so just give me a boss fight at least. But no, Daisley kills Jill and the other humans in the room, revealing that he only sees humans as tools manufactured by the Fal'cie. He is the Fal'cie running the Cocoon Factory. He is Bartendalus, the lord of all Cocoon Fal'cie. He has this really fucking cool intro scene where he goes on about providing for them and having this really well directed cuts to everyone realizing what they're dealing with. It's so good. It's so good. Thankfully, they beat him. Psych, he's Lord Sovereign, bitch. Only one way you can kill this dude, and that's Ragnarok. Your focus. You gotta destroy Orphan and Cocoon. They, of course, plan to go against it for Sarah's sake. But turns out, Sarah's focus was to bring them all together. He tells them to run away, get stronger. And he takes off. The ship, with no one to pilot it, starts to go down. They make their escape, but Roche, didn't you die? Is on their tail. They're protected by someone and they're sent to this mysterious area. They wonder, do they really have no other option than to destroy Cocoon? Isn't it weird that he wants to destroy Cocoon? He just told them everything, you know? That's really strange. Snow apologizes for leading them on some quest that wasn't true. Light doesn't care. It saved her and her love for Sarah. Keep that faith, Snow. They activate this area as they move in and realize that this is LaCie training ground, a place of legend on Pulse, the Ark. Daisley sent them here so they can get stronger. Can't kill them if you're too weak. They find a lot of stuff they didn't know that they would. A lot of war machines? What the hell's going on? They find Reigns here, but why? How could he end up here? Only one thing, he's a traitor. Turns out he wasn't ever really against the Sanctum. He was only following his focus to push the gang towards becoming Ragnarok. They've been protected by Daisley this entire time. His reasoning? Destroying large amount of lives will restore the Maker, the one who brought everything to be. A long time ago she departed this world, leaving humans and Fal'cie to coexist, orphans of the same parent. But humans forgot the order and fought over senseless wars. The Fal'cie did not rock with this, of course, and the only way they can get things back in order is to bring back the Maker. Bartendalus will sacrifice all Cocoon and Pulse to make this happen, and it's why the LaCie have been a thing. The only reason they don't do it themselves is because they can't. Snow questions Reigns. He really did want to make change, but he was too weak. Once he got the ability to, he was a puppet for the Fal'cie. All he could do was become a slave. He had all but given up until he met them. He wants to fight his focus, use his power to change the lives of people. So to do that, he'll kill them. Sadly, we can't let that happen, so we gotta beat the fucking brakes off him. He couldn't fulfill his wish, but he wishes us good luck turning into crystal. They make a stop at a dead end. Snow finds a new outlook on life. He realizes Sarah was always with him, even if the tear meant goodbye. Don't let the focus in. Believe what we want, and this is their way they can protect their home. Vanille and the rest join in with him. Fang, however, is against it. She wants Cocoon to die to protect Vanille. Bahamut doesn't agree with that though. Light, once again, asks her to please join them, and she finally agrees, saying screw it. You know what? Why not? They beat Bahamut and a path is open for them. At the end of the path is a gate to Grand Pulse. They think they'll find clues on Grand Pulse about turning back into humans, and also is a place that Psycom can't get to. Hope has finally become so independent with his thoughts and thinks for himself, and is excited to see this hell that Pulse is. The prejudice against Pulse will be defeated. Saz takes the lead and they fly off. We get another gorgeous CG scene of them landing in Pulse. I don't really need to describe this one, it's just really a flex from the Square Enix Visual Works team, and Grand Pulse is very, very pretty. You see how uncivilized and brutal it is compared to Cocoon, and it's cool that you get to see Cocoon from the sky. Final Fantasy development trivia time. It is spoilers for Final Fantasy X, so skip ahead to the time on the screen if you haven't beat it, okay? Let's get to it. In Final Fantasy X, they have the idea of Xanarkand being a floating city in the sky similar to how Cocoon is here, instead of having it be split up like it is with Spirit in the final product. I'm glad they never let the idea go, because I think it's a really nice touch to the universe of Final Fantasy XIII. Vanille questions the actions the gang is about to take. Can't do that at this point, dear. But she does bring up something interesting about how each traitor, the gods and the Fal'cie, and then the humans, brought something new into the world, but not the LaCie. So maybe it's time they create something themselves. I do wonder what that'll be. A little bit later, Chope and Boko went off to explore, but Boko comes back alone and says something is wrong. They find him laid out from stress and overworking. We then proceed to get to another one of my favorite scenes. Everyone is kinda upset since they've been here for a while and haven't found anything. Vanille suggests they go to, well, she doesn't get to say it, as Awakening Hope does. Erebah, the place where the post-Fal'cie lay dreaming. Vanille and Fang's home. Hope admits his big speech on the ship was a front. In reality, he is just as afraid as he's always been. Not for himself though. No, this time he's afraid for getting his new family hurt because of his actions. Because of this, Alexander comes out of him. Everyone realizes what these guys are actually here for. Not to take them out and give them salvation, but help them overcome their doubts and provide them with the power to do it. They subjugate Alexander and now he is with Hope. Everyone is feeling good and their hope has found his hope. This stuff is just great. This is what I mean when I say this game has really good scenes. All these good scenes have stuff that builds up to them. It's what makes them so damn good. Now these next few scenes are hidden scenes you get from exploration and side quests, but I feel like I should talk about them in the context of the character. Vanille and Hope sit down, and Hope talks about how this place just doesn't seem like it's possible to exist. If he never fell into these chains of events that led him here, he wouldn't have met Vanille or seen Pulse for what it truly is. She then changes the conversation to herself and all the lies she's told throughout her life. He gives her reassurance that not everything you lied about was bad, and he teases her after to make her smile. Next, Saz finds the Chocobo nest and lets Chick out to play, thinking maybe it would be better if they part ways here. But no, Chick can't leave him alone, not at all. Fang shows up behind him and starts to apologize, but he tells her to stop. He blames himself for what happened to Dodge instead of her and Vanille. He should have been watching his son. He won't take the gun on by himself though. That's what Chick and the gang are here for, to help him get through it. Really happy these scenes are here, and I wish they weren't so easy to miss, but they're here in general, so I'm satisfied. They make their way through the tunnels and see how different post-Fal'cie are from the likes of Pretendalist, helping the people, even if they seem just as dangerous. Vanille and Fang finally have a conversation about their past. Fang forces Vanille's Eidolon to come out by lying about her memories. Fang was Ragnarok. She was the one who put a hole in Cocoon. She doesn't actually care about that though. She just didn't want Vanille lying to her and acting like she had no one. They have a new family now. The past doesn't matter. What matters is changing their path. We get a nice call back to the Vile Peaks with the robots helping stop the Fal'cie from moving. Saz believes this is a sign that they can beat Pretendalist with the power of teamwork, a Final Fantasy staple. Good going, old man. They ride the Fal'cie out of there and land in pretty caves where Snow is having a conversation with Sarah. Vanille decides to have a chat with Sarah, thinking back on when they first met. Looking at the beautiful sunset, hoping Sarah could help her find the right words to apologize to Fang. Sarah tells her that running won't fix anything, and she needs to go to the people she loves, face them, and tell them what she wants. Vanille then proceeds to tell Snow that Daisley was lying about Sarah. She overcame her focus, and Snow is like, yes sir, fuck that guy. We get another gorgeous CG scene between Light and Snow, another one of my favorites in the franchise. Honestly, this whole chapter is like a top 2 section of the franchise. God, anyway, Light asks Snow if he really wants to marry Sarah, and it wasn't just a thing that he did in the moment. Big sis has to watch out for little sis, of course. We get a cute family bonding hug scene where they say they'll see her together. This scene the most is one of the best at showing her and her growth. She had finally let go of the fear. No more putting up fake faces, showing she has fully accepted Snow and that she is just as human as the others. They make their way to a canyon where they see Tajin Tower, the last stop between them and Erebah. This is a Fal'cie's home though, so it won't be easy. They get inside and are greeted by some strange voices telling them to go home. Obviously we can't do that, so the statues that are speaking offer to help us if we help them. After some run-ins with the Fal'cie and help from the statues, they make it to the top of the tower. The Fal'cie is only ahead at this point and is pissed off. They fight and win. The statues thank them because they are finally free. Vanille and Fang are excited to see their home, but sadly, it's gone. Fang starts to lose hope, but there's no going back, so they press on. These shots are still so fucking magical 11 years later. They make it to Erebah and start looking for clues. After looking through this beautiful destroyed town, they find Sarah at the end talking about the Ragnarok legend. She tries to persuade the party by saying Lightning's real name, Claire, but they've had just about enough of this shit. So, Pretendalist drops the facade. He decides to destroy Cocoon through fear of change by stepping down and putting Reigns in his position as Primarch, making it so the cavalry goes against him. They'll go after Orphan once they learn it was him tugging Sid along the whole time, allowing him to have a new way to be killed and cause mass destruction. But wait, that's not all. He's going to allow Pulse in to run loose, which should also kill many people, allowing the creator to come back. So many plans, bro. You should have done these first instead of worrying about us. He gives the party an option: join him, watching the destruction, or die. They beat him again, but not really. He tells them the only way to save the people who die soul is Ragnarok, so you can still kill all these people, but if they die without Ragnarok, their souls are lost. Anyways, he goes away, but gives them a way back to Cocoon. The record of the past is sitting here, so might as well keep it, right? More lore dump time. Pulse wants to destroy Cocoon with Ragnarok because of how much hate they had towards them, and the amount of death they caused to Pulse during the war. They beat the Cocoon, Fal'cie, and Fal'cie, but nope, not really. They were betrayed by Innis and captured by Britannialists so they can bring back the creator. Once they wake, Ragnarok will complete his focus once again. The gang wonders if they can even stop it. Protecting Orphan will only cause this to eventually happen again. But they gotta get rid of the Fal'cie rule so they can protect the people. There's not much time, so they really just gotta figure it out on the way, so I guess we gotta head off. On Cocoon, we see Sid has adjusted to becoming Commander-in-Chief, giving a speech saying Cocoon has been given back to the people. And to celebrate, they have a big old race on Eden. It gets interrupted by a party crashing and causing a big ruckus. And boy is it some of the best shit this franchise has ever seen. This is why I love visual work CG. The Fal'cie sets the sky bright and Pulse armies start their invasion. Sid is cornered by Regia and the cavalry. He tells them his dreams were all nothing but a Fal'cie's plan and to please kill him. They gave him his wish. Now he can finally be free. After that, the battle for Eden begins. Fal'cie, Fal'cie, Cocoon, and Pulse monsters in an all-out battle. The cavalry, on the other hand, is avoiding everything and heads straight towards the orphan, just as Britannialists wanted. Gotta get there first, but our boy Roche is in the way. God damn, it seems like he and Snow have formed some sort of bond at this point. He knows why they're here, but a Fal'cie is Fal'cie, and he's still faithful to Cocoon, so he's gotta kill them with the motherfucking proud claw, bro. Dude, I got so excited when this showed up when I originally played. I love all the references this game has. It's like the first big celebration of Final Fantasy without actually like being, like 14. It's really good stuff. Don't worry, I didn't forget FF9 exists. I just wanted to say that because I love this game. Roche escapes to recover. Time to spill the tea of the Fal'cies of the people. As the scene progresses, you notice that people are starting to notice that our party is not the enemy. I really like this small scene because it shows how the world is changing. They make it to the gates and are expecting a fight, but turns out it's Nora, Godot, Laboom, Yuge, and Mankyu. It's been so long, so they get mad at Snow because he never came back to them. They decide to join in on the fight on our hero's side. Of course, not playable because we can't have any more Crystariums to build. They make it to the front steps of Eden and notice crystal all around them. Cocoon is falling apart because the orphan is in danger and the cavalry is getting close. Further in, people are turning into Crystal Seed. This is getting worse by the second. More battles go on and a final confrontation with Roche finally happens. He gives in. They question why he's doing this at all. His answer is to make up for what he's done under the Fal'cie rule. He knows this isn't the right way, and he knows this is the end for him. He accepts his death, but not before calling the army off the party and giving his men the freedom to do what they want in their final hours. He gives the party his blessing and he passes. An end to a character that I really enjoyed as one note as he was, but you know me, at this point you can be one note and give me a reason to care. Roche did just that. Obviously there's more to him in the data log that I wish they put in the game, but I think what he did was satisfying enough. For some reason, the cavalry isn't in the cradle. Oh, never mind. There they are. Turned to crystal. Looks like they couldn't do what they wished. I guess it really is up to us, huh? The room around them transforms into one of the coolest final dungeons ever. It's finally time. Daisley and the Fal'cie are gonna eat shit. Let's go! Some more trials commence that remind me of the 4 future Final Fantasy 1. I think they're named after them too. After some taunts and begging for Orphan's death by Daisley, they finally fight him one last time. Gotcha! His death in this chamber was the catalyst for becoming Orphan alongside Minerva. They can't actually defeat Orphan. It's too powerful. Orphan explains that they make Fal'cie because humans are full of infinite potential, and they'll take that from them after the Maker returns and everything begins anew. Fang, to protect the others from being killed because they're deemed useless, says she'll become Ragnarok. She turns everyone into a sieve since they want to pick themselves and Cocoon to protect. They start beating her up. She wonders if this is the sin she must bear for choosing her family over the lives of the people of Cocoon. She regrets this immensely because they aren't themselves anymore, which causes her to go into a fit of rage and despair, which allows her to become Ragnarok. As she makes her way towards Orphan, she breaks free, remembering everything up to this point, causing her to become normal again. If they can't get it normally, then I guess they'll force it out of her. Vanille is their target, but before they can get her, everyone awakens to the power of friendship, baby. Let's go. Orphan melts into a new form after they kill it. A clock thingy, I guess. They give their final heroic speech and actually kill Orphan. Orphan's death puts him in the skies above Cocoon. It's tearing apart. Only one choice is for Fang and Vanille to become the full Ragnarok. But instead of the destruction that Orphan wanted from Ragnarok, they turn into crystal and hold Cocoon up in the sky, taking the shape of the game's logo. So fucking good. Everyone from Cocoon is on Pulse, looking up and thanking Fang and Vanille for a new world. Their brands are gone. They're free of the Fal'cie's hold. Oh shit, Sarah and Dash are free too? Snow promises to make Sarah happy. And the game ends with a happy Fang and Vanille, happy they were able to protect their new family and the people that they love. And that is the story of Final Fantasy XIII. It's definitely not perfect. For one, the entire war backstory that set Britannialists and the other Fal'cie on their path is not explained in full unless you read the data log. Characters like Jill, whose character motivations are relegated to books/data logs, and all you really know from them is how she's done everything for Daisley. Her relationship with Saz is glossed over in game too, The amount of times they repeat stuff like fate, hope, and the lore dumps in dialogue can be a lot compared to how Final Fantasy X and Final Fantasy VII Remake, which are made by the same team, treat dialogue and narrative. Despite these things, I still think this is a great story, one of the best in the franchise. For one, the character motivations for the most part are really good. Watching their arcs unfold, their struggles, and then overcoming those struggles and finding peace is what I love the most about this game. Even characters like Cid. I love Cid so much. He may have less screen time than the main party, but his impact is felt, and they keep his action with them through to the end. Speaking of the main party, they're all so good. Snow becoming the hero he's always wanted to be, and choosing to accept the guilt and consequences that he's caused to people, using his power to make up for what he's done, even if it can't fix everything. Lightning coming to terms with reality, letting go of that stoic attitude she's had, and letting herself be vulnerable around the people she loves. Hope becoming the embodiment of his name, overcoming the fear of failing the people that he loves, knowing that revenge is not going to answer the problems with his life. Fang and Vanille being together again and overcoming their past. Saz overcoming his prejudice of Pulse, learning forgiveness and losing his cynicism. We even have them being a sort of help each other find their way connection. Snow grew up alone as an orphan, but he found his new family through Sarah, Lightning, and the Nora gang. While on the other hand, Hope grew up with his parents not loving his dad because his dad cares more about work than him and his mom. He loses the only family he thought he had, but because of the adventure, he found one through Snow and the rest of the party, and finally working it out with his dad. Saz and Vanille worrying about the people they love and accepting that death isn't going to fix the issues between them and it can't get their loved ones back. Lightning and Fang only caring about one thing but realizing they needed a party to keep them together through the journey. And we can't forget them being the embodiments of warriors of light that take down the darkness that is Orphan's plan for Cocoon. Real Final Fantasy, baby. Something I forgot to mention during the development phase was that the concept of people fighting against their fate and being given dreams by gods to make those dreams come true was actually something he's had since the 90s during the development of Final Fantasy VII. I just thought that was really cool trivia that I really had to put in the video. So I hope you guys like that, and it shows how dedicated some of these developers are to keeping their visions alive. It's not just Nomura, it's not just, Kitase, it's literally everybody at Square. Everybody at Square has ideas and they're eventually allowed to be able to put them into reality, which is really fucking cool. The villains are hit and miss, mostly because of what I said earlier, and there actually aren't that many in the game. I do love Bartandalus, but again, you have to look into the data log to really see how far he went to make his plans happen. My guy is basically like Aizen from Bleach. Long story short, he realizes humans die and go to Atro's Gate, the place of the Maker. If many die, the gate bursts wide open, which then allows him to set in stone his plan to bring the creator back so that he can bond with them and restore the world. There's a really sick video on Bartandalus from Final Fantasy Union, and they do it way more justice than I can in a video like this, so I feel like you should go watch them instead of trying to understand it from my short summary of these characters. Anyway, sorry for getting on track. So, not many villains, a lot of them aren't really well developed or have really good motivations, or we don't know enough about them. Only like 3 of them I would really call good, and it definitely holds the game back because, like I said, Final Fantasy games are built on their villains and main party, along with some good side characters, like I said in the 15 video. I was going to mention this during the visual section of the video, but I think I should mention it now during the story section since it's very important to it. I think the visual presentation, like the cutscene presentation, how character models move, their eyes moving, you can tell, like I said in this section of the video where Snow looks at his knife, the subtlety of characters' movements and the way their faces emote, it's very incredibly well done. It's so far above anything else that came out in the year 2009. It's actually insane. I can't think of a single game that's as detailed in terms of its story presentation as Final Fantasy XIII. It's insane how much went into making it so that these characters emote as real people. The mocap is above and beyond, and you can look at this game from 10 years ago and see that it's the people who worked on Final Fantasy VII Remake compared to like people that worked on Final Fantasy 15. It's insane. Another part of the writing I didn't feel got enough screen time was the nuance in the writing and the grayness of some parts of the game. Some of the soldiers did not want to fight in this war and shoot these Fal'cie because they would harm the civilians, but Roche wanted to because he wanted to protect the civilians. There is a bit of gray there, along with his reasoning for doing what he did, but obviously they didn't go too deep into it, and I really wish they did. It's kind of a missed opportunity, but it is there, and it shows that the writing isn't really just black and white, one's good, one's bad. SciComm is not completely evil, the soldiers aren't completely evil, there's worry there's people there, actual human beings, but because of how deep they go into, you don't really get a lot of it. The main cast and overarching plot are very, very good, so I feel it kind of makes up for it since it's not as dire as I feel like it could be, but yeah. A new Crystal Legend with many good callbacks, good emotional moments, a sense of adventure that I absolutely adore from these games, the fugitive on the run narrative done really well that's helped by the structure of the game itself. If backstory for huge elements of the game weren't put in the data log, the sometimes really weird perspective switching that the game has, villains being on the weak side weren't a thing, I'd honestly call this my favorite Final Fantasy. At least it's in the top 3, but that changes all the time, so it's whatever. But I really do enjoy the narrative of this game despite its issues. Alright, gameplay time. So, like Final Fantasy 15, I'm gonna combine the character building stuff and world exploration and the combat all into one section for gameplay because, I mean, it's all gameplay. You do it all at the same time in terms of game content, so might as well start with the character building mechanics. The Crystarium. It feels like it's supposed to be an evolution of the Spear Grid, and in a way it sorta is, but it's much more restricted. You can, for the most part, build your character how you want when you get to the late game. Up until the arc though, everyone has 3 specific set of paradigms they can use. Each paradigm grid is linear for the most part. Feels like you're being pushed along a set path more than you really are choosing what you want to do. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. Linearity works for this game, is definitely in the game's DNA, which can be a major turnoff for people, but I do like the Crystarium and what it gives you. So each crystal has nodes. These nodes are abilities and stat increases. The further you go into your grid, the stronger the abilities are, but the more everything costs, and god does the cost go up. So if you want the best stuff, you'll have to grind a bit, which honestly you don't need for the final boss, but it would help. You'll be doing a bit of battling, but it's not like you mostly aren't battling anyways, right? I'll get into that later. The way they try to make it so that you build everyone up is by making it so that some characters either don't have the same skills in their paradigms or that they're very far away so that you have to grind anyways. That way you'll stick using multiple characters with the same paradigm. For example, Hope and Saz have synergists, but Hope has stuff like Protect and Elemental Protection, while Saz has the good shit like Haste and Elemental Attack buffs. It's part of why they have the party split up, other than narrative reasons. And it works, but once you get everyone together, you can only use 3 members, so you really gotta pick and choose until you build up their Crystariums the way you want it to. I wish it was more like the Spear Grid where everyone had a specific job class but could branch off and become something else. That DNA is still kind of there as everyone specializes in a specific job, but like I said, having similar and being cut off from some other stuff till later. What I love though is that at the end of everyone's best job, they get a specific skill. One for all is Lightning's, and you get to see the attack from the 2006 CGI trailer. And it's not just her, no, you get a sick animation from every single character. One of the many things that showed that despite depth issues, they made sure to try and keep everything they showed before release and go above and beyond in some cases. So yeah, it does get railroaded and is a step back in a sense from Final Fantasy X, but I see numbers go up and I see cooler spells / abilities. I get the brain juices flowing, so I like it. Another thing is that this game only has 3 stats: magic, attack, and HP. It's really weird that they don't have anything else, but that's just how the game is, so I guess I just accept it as it is. Weapon leveling is another mechanic. In battle, instead of gaining gil, you gain craft items and normal items. You can sell either to gain money in the game. You use these craft items to level up weapons and armor. You'll get better stat buffs, protections, wards, etc, etc, etc from doing so. And for weapons, you use these items to evolve the weapon into new weapons. It's how you gain access to things like the ultimate weapon. This is a Final Fantasy X team game, aka a Kitase led game. So the way to gain the ultimate is a grind, their favorite thing to do over there for some reason. Onto the battle system itself. So you build up your characters, you gotta use them right. Happy to say that for the most part the combat system is great. While this combat system allows for some of the most strategic gameplay in the franchise, once you figure out the beat, the rhythm is the same for most battles. Not all, but a lot of them. Let's get into the nitty gritty first. So this is an evolution of the active time battle system. There's a wait active meter that builds up as time goes on, but you only see one character. Yes, the party leader, because everyone else is controlled by AI. This was done because of how much action goes on screen, so they decided to make it easier to digest by having it only one person have a meter. Thankfully, your AI party members are very good and give you what you need when you need it. There is also the addition of the stagger gauge, a bar that fills up when you hit the enemy with anything, magic, debuffs, and attacks. This is where the kinda bad simplicity and linearity comes into play and can hurt the game. Once you get your commando character out, you use attack for a slow stagger gauge drop. You then bring in your magic characters to build it up fast, and then once staggered, you go ham with the enemy's weaknesses. Then you win. I think that many encounters will spice it up so that it doesn't feel like you're just doing the same thing over and over again. They require you to do debuffs, buffs, Libra, getting fast kills, stuff like that. Preemptive strikes are the best way to go when encountering things like behemoths, seeth mission enemies, some grand pulse monsters, and some of the end game bosses. Final Fantasy games are very entry level RPGs where they don't always have to use the battle system to the fullest, so I am very happy that 13 is one of the games that does, even if it feels like you're doing the same thing over and over again and again. One thing combat wise I cannot forgive though, and I'm sure that is due to the development issues, is the enemy variety. It's so bad. From the beginning to the end of the game, you encounter for the most part the same species of enemies. Even bosses end up like this. Thankfully, it's not game ruining for me. It can be for you, so it's very, very, very upsetting. I mean, how many times do I gotta fight a freaking dog, freaking Garuda, and like 13 versions of Behemoth, man? Even if you have different weaknesses, you're still the same. On to the last piece of gameplay, the world and side quest. The world is without a doubt a very straight line with very little freedom outside of some areas. This works perfectly for the narrative. We are on the run from many foes. There's not really much time to go off and shop in the town or something. Yeah, but Neil and Saz end up in an amusement park, but even then they were getting attacked. Do I think this game could have used more freedom? I think it would help. Maybe give you a break from fighting by adding more content other than the seeth missions. Only real side quests in the game, which is more fighting. However, the world is so varied and gives you a sense of, wow, this place is gigantic. There are so many different locations. I think it's fine. You get so many beautiful areas and they try their best to make sure every place has a different feeling to them. The amount of care really shows and I love it. I think an issue people have with the linearity of the game is how long you're in certain sections of the game. If the areas were shorter, I don't think the linearity would hurt as much as people feel it does, just like Final Fantasy X. The game really shows how many good callbacks there are to the franchise. Also, you can tell they were trying to make 13 pretty distinct, but still feel true Final Fantasy as it possibly could be. From places like Palamporum, Roche's weapon being called the Proud Claw, the Fal'cie all being the summons of old. I love it. So good. The seeth missions though are just hunts, and I like hunts, but like 15 there's nothing else to really break things from that. While it does allow you to go all out with what you learned in battle and have some monsters you don't see in the story like tom berries, it's just sometimes I need more than just battles. I need mini games no matter how bad they can be. Give me mini games, or at least quests of a narrative. You know, I said 15 only had battles, but it did have stuff like the car racing mini game and chocobo racing. That's 1 point for 15 and 0 for 13. Ha! Take that, Toriyama. Luminous heads, we didn't get cocky. So, 13 in the game department of being a video game does a very, very good job in multiple ways, but also fails in plenty of others. So I really do get why this game is so flawed to people, but I hope this made you see that it's not as bad as it can be made out to be. Now, to the section of the game that is like literally flawless, the music. Holy shit, man. I know I said 15 had my favorite OST, but I might change that. After this replay, it's definitely 13. But I mean, don't worry, it's probably going to change again as we get through this franchise. But for now, it's 13. The composers in this game went above and beyond. As I said in the development history part of the video, Hamauzu, like other developers, went freelance after the development of this game because of how much of a toll the work of this game took on them. It makes sense though. This is without a doubt his best work. Feels like he put everything he had into this. Now, not all of them are perfect, but for the most part, the songs fit in their perfect spots. Various moments, locations, and characters get them perfectly, minus a few sections, like I said. A lot of moments are elevated by these tracks, and I feel like they wouldn't hit as hard if anyone else had done this OST. He had to do this game. His philosophy, make a soundtrack no one will get tired of. Even though Kitase picked him for his orchestral work, he decided to have many different styles. We have rock, jazz, pop, orchestral, you name it. My man did everything. His use of lei motifs is on par with Uematsu, and I even like his new victory fanfare, even if it's not the traditional one. I'm so happy with this OST, and I know Hamauzu is too. Kudos to you. You did an incredible job. That, my friends, was Final Fantasy XIII. A game with some narrative issues, railroading more than the franchise has ever did before, and a whole lot of development issues. That doesn't stop from being a great game though. It is not perfect, but it is without a doubt a Final Fantasy game through and through. Once the devs got to do what they wanted to for the most part, even if they have some regrets. Thankfully, they got to fix some of those issues in Final Fantasy XIII too. That will be saved for another day though. It's not happening right after this. Because next, it's time for me to tackle the game I've been avoiding for almost 10 years. I picked it up multiple times, dropped it multiple times. That's right, baby. Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles.
At long last, The timeless classic Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles returns.
Wouldn't it be hilarious if I just left it there? No? Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't think so either. Final Fantasy XIV: A Realm Reborn is next. We are going to go through each expansion in order, and after we get through all the expansions, we're going to FF12. I'll explain how I'll do 14 in an update video, like clearly, because I already explained in another one and I said, oh, I'll do this and that and that, but I didn't like clearly concise like say what I want to do, because there's a lot more to 14 than I thought there was. I will see you guys then. I hope you guys have a great day, and peace from Quizzy Games, everybody.
Look, Snow. I'm sorry. Forgive me.
For what?
For not subscribing to Quizzy Game. Well, if you just subscribe to him, maybe I can forgive you. When Sarah gets back, we'll all subscribe together. Thank you, Quizzy Game.